You guys just opened your European tour in Oslo last night. How did it feel?
Great crowd.
Yeah.
Really, I thought the crowd was awesome.
Yeah, it was really no disrespect to all our friends in Japan, because we have some great friends there, but we just spent 2 weeks there, and the energy in Japan is a little more subdued, to say the least. And so to come out and feel the energy and the excitement and the appreciation from all our Norwegian friends last night was pretty good. It was very uplifting, and I think that there was a great exchange of energy for a couple hours there. So it was a lot of fun. It was probably seriously the best first show we've had on a tour on this. The best first show on a leg of a tour we've had on the St. Anger run. So
they've got great rhythm too. I tell you, Norwegians got great rhythm, because when they were doing their thing, it's like, wow, it's like a metronome. They got it down.
Unlike the band. So.
Here you have some problems with your right arm. You just came down from massage. Well, how are you doing? Will this affect the tour later on, maybe, or are you getting better?
I hope not. I hope not. I know it's up and down. After we played really hard last night. I mean, it was a good, hard gig, and on a day like today, it feels a little wobbly, considering also, I'm 100 years old. So by the time 9 o'clock rolls around tonight, hopefully it'll be in tolerable shape, and if not, I'll have a couple shots, and not those kind of shots, these kind of shots, and we usually get through it one way or another. And I don't think that, knock on wood, let's see. We've got to get some wood going. I don't think that anything radical is going to happen, but we're at a point now where we try and keep we pay as much respect to it as you can. So we have a guy who just travels with us and deals with our arms and our necks and our backs, and we try and be as on top of all of that as possible.
You put on a great show yesterday, but do you have bad days at work where things just don't work out?
I think the word bad show, I mean, that's a pretty black and white way to put it. I think that, we have times when we're up on stage where we're maybe firing on 95% instead of 99.9%. But it's mostly us that notice it, and a couple of people maybe, like I was talking to a couple of kids yesterday. There was one kid who had seen us like 70 times. So if you're talking to somebody like that, he might notice it, but the other 8,000, 9,000 people there will probably, hopefully not. We rarely have shows that end up in disasters, say like when the lead singer blows up in a pyro cue. Things like that happen rarely, but I think we're also at a point now where, especially with Rob and the band, that there's a kind of a vibe of what's going on that, I think that there's less of this thing about an almost like dictatorial perfection coming from all of us about, nobody can fuck up and it has to be fucking perfect and all this type of stuff. I think we kind of had that for a little while at some years ago, and I think we're much more relaxed now. And I think that in that comes the fact that, let's say it's not 100%, you can almost celebrate that it's not 100% and kind of have a good time with that fact instead of walking around and being all flustered by it. Do you know what I mean? So it's almost like it's at a point now where it's okay if it's not, and in some way that those are some of the human elements that we try to bring more to the surface of the band now, and try to sort of bring forth and say, wait a minute, we are just human beings, and we try to do the best we can every night, but this thing about this military perfection that it has, or it doesn't really exist so much for us anymore.
It's quite obvious that you're having fun on stage. I mean, like yesterday, you rehearsed the ending of For Whom the Bell Tolls with Robert. I think he did something wrong in the end there.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, bum bum. 1, 2, bum bum.
1, 2, bum bum.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because he goes 4,
right.
bum bum. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, bum bum. And James is going, wait, that's 2. And I'm going, that's 2. He's going, no.
Will you remember that tonight?
Yeah.
Well, now you're assuming we're playing For Whom the
Now,
Bell Tolls.
now that you brought it up, you know what I mean?
Look, it's a combination of really just the fact that what we try and do is we try and have fun with it. And we play around with each other quite a bit. We play around with each other quite a bit the more we get comfortable with what we're doing. But like I said, we're also at a place now where the last couple tours we've played more or less the same set every night. And so with that comes a kind of a much more of this kind of thing, what we're trying to do on this tour, because we don't have so much production on this tour because we kind of feel that there isn't really much production that we can do that we haven't already done. We're a little bit bored with sort of all the different things you can do because there's not much left challenges in that. So the challenge that we're trying to do on this tour is more like tonight we're going to play about 7 different songs than we did yesterday. And so that's a lot of fun to mix it up like that. With that comes this thing about it's a little raw on the edges, and the ins and outs of the songs get a little more kind of wobbly. And then that type of stuff like not really knowing how to end songs kind of starts happening. And it's actually really fun because it gives the whole show a kind of a looseness that I think previous Metallica shows sometimes have lacked a little bit.
You did focus mostly on your first albums. You didn't play much songs from the albums after the Black Album.
Well, that's because we were more or less on tour for 4 continuous years between '96 and the end of the S&M. I mean, it was one long run, and on those 4 years, I mean, we focused so heavily on all the load reload stuff that we sort of got sick of playing it, to be honest with you. And when we sort of rediscovered and started having fun with some of the more metal roots and the dynamic things of the early days, some of the earlier stuff fits a little bit more into our kind of headspace right now. And plus, we played all those load reload songs and all that so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows up between like '96 and up through the 2000 Summer Sanitarium tour. It was just like enough. So maybe next time we come to Oslo, we'll play all load reload again, and there won't be anything from the early albums. Who knows? It comes and goes all the time,
Most people will know by now that you've had a difficult period before you released the Saint Anger album. But do you lay back and reflect upon that? You're a member of probably the biggest heavy metal band on the planet.
It's not something I think a lot about. I try not to. First of all, I mean, for 2 reasons. I'm not really sure what that means anymore, and it doesn't really, 10 years ago, it was much more exciting to be competitive. I don't really get anything out of it anymore. I'm just happy that we're still here, and I'm happy that some people, both fans and critics, think we're still relevant. The biggest thing, it's great. Look, metal is doing very well in Europe. This is our most successful record in Europe in 10 years since the Black Album. This is our 3rd tour of Europe on this album. We're going to be coming back and doing another run in Europe in May and June. It's a good time for Metallica in Europe, and we're psyched about that. But the last thing when I put my head down on the pillow is not about Metallica being the biggest band in the world. It's please don't wake up with a hangover.
You've played big venues before with Ozzy Osbourne. What's the difference between playing bass for Ozzy and playing bass with Metallica on big stages?
Well, Metallica's music is the most physical music I've ever played, and I mean, Suicidal Tendency, that was pretty relentless. even like Infectious Grooves is a different thing, but challenging, in a different way. But for some reason, Metallica's music requires sort of a sense of precision, and there's technique, lots of technique involved, but it's just so physical, and the music moves me that way, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just gets you really, really fired up when you're up there playing it, and looking over at James and Lars and Kirk. It's an honor, but it's also, gets you really, really fueled up, So it's like running a triathlon.
It could be interesting to hear. What's your Metallica favorite album, Robert?
Oh man, it's not always the easiest question. I get asked that a lot, and it varies from time to time. Master, definitely. I like Justice as well. But as far as like songs, that changes all the time. I mean, I'll be feeling a song like Blackened one night, and then, the next night I might be feeling Damage Inc. or, it just varies. So I think, it's great. It's great to be a part of this situation where I can be involved in performing this stuff live, especially some of the classics, It's an honor, and it excites me.